Ah. Hey, everybody, it's Monday, September 22nd, 2025. And you're watching Dangerous with Coffee with Brian Cates. Ah. The more coffee I drink, the wider awake I get. And the wider awake I get, the more things I begin to see in the world. The more I come to understand what's happening. And so, what's happening today? What can we talk about today? Well, let's talk about the Charlie Kirk Memorial from yesterday. It was man, that was very touching watching that. You know, where it really hits you that Charlie is gone. Um, he's not coming back, and it hurts. And the nation, I think, needed that and needed, because it was frightening. It wasn't just that we lost this great young man of such ability, of such talent that was reaching the young people in the universities, going right, literally going right into the heart of the beast. The Luciferian cult has had control of those universities for many years. And you talk about going into the belly of the beast, man, and that's exactly what Charlie Kirk was doing, going into the belly of the beast. Now they've had control. I call it the Luciferian cult. I know I people around when I started calling it that, but I'm calling it that because that's what it is. It's a cult, and it's Luciferian at its heart. And this Luciferian cult, oligarchs families that have been paying the money. They infiltrated our country, gradually gained control of all of our cultural institutions. They don't have one aspect of our culture under their control. This is the broad spectrum now, okay? They have broad spectrum control of our culture here in America. And definitely our universities, man. They've had our universities and many of our public schools under iron-fisted draconian control. Over 100 years at this point. Charlie Kirk was a brave young man. Don Jr. was up there talking last night, that they're about to go on stage in Michigan, one of the places where they're told, "Hey, look, we can't guarantee your safety." Uh, the lunatics out there are getting out of hand. We can't guarantee your safety. And nobody would have blamed Charlie Kirk and say, "Well, I'm a married man. I have a wife. I have children. I can't risk this. I can't risk it. I'm gonna play it safe and just not go out there." And he did not do that. He never did that. The belly of the beast, man, right in there. Well, he knows the Luciferian cult now has control. They've had control of our academia for a long time. He took the fight to them, man. The place where they think the dark side is at its strongest. He constantly, consistently went in there and found them and got the right with him, and, man, they did not like that, and that was what I got from watching all of these tributes to Charlie Kirk last night. Let me share something with you real quick what Elon Musk said, just read it again. Okay, hold on, my brother's saying I have a sound issue. I'm coming across a little garbled. Let me try to adjust something here. I don't know if I can adjust it down. I think what I can do is I can turn the mic up a little bit. I can do that. Okay, see if that helps. Um, Let me share something with you about talk loud. Okay. All right, let me share something with you. Let me find it. I think I have a different one. Yeah, I got a different post up there. I'll simply move to my find that different one. Elon Musk was there last night. Let me make sure that's the right window was showing up there. Okay, yeah, Elon Musk showed up last night at the memorial for Charlie Kirk. And everybody knows that he and Trump got back together. That they shook hands and like I've said many times, if you follow me on social media, I never really believed that feud between Trump and Elon was real. I believe for strategic reasons, they fight every now and then to call attention to an issue. You may know what Trump just did on the HB1 visa thing the other day, raised it to $100,000. And I'm kind of joking on my social media. Ooh, I don't think Elon and Rebecca are going to like this. But I've been saying for some time, I think that whole thing was fake. They shake hands, they have a nice chat while sitting next to Dana White, and they appear to bury the hatchet. Okay, well, Elon was there last night, and he was asked some questions. I need to, I think my Rumble is not muted. Let me make sure my Rumble is muted here. Okay. Before I turn this up, or I'm going to hear myself. All right. Okay, so I'm gonna play this clip for you. And this is Elon Musk at Charlie Kirk's memorial last night. I believe he's being interviewed by a reporter from German television. And so that's why you see the German captions there along with the English captions. So he's asked about Charlie Kirk, and this is what Elon Musk had to say. Why was he killed? He was killed because his words made a difference. Because he was showing people the light, and he was killed by the dark. Why was he killed? He was killed because his words made a difference. Because he was showing people the light, and he was killed by the dark. Yeah. Bravo, Elon Musk, because hey, that is pretty much what happened. I've been talking about dark to light a lot. I've been making comments on my. I hope you all follow me on social media, by the way, and read my Substack. I've been talking about from dark to light a lot, and it can during this great awakening that the country is experiencing. It is at its heart, it's at its essence, it is a spiritual awakening. That's what it is, and the usual, the political pundits, the political consultants, the people in all the different political industries like posters and pundits, very, very inadequate to address this, what is happening, because they're totally going to look at it through the lens of politics. The lens of politics. Like, let me give a perfect example. Let's go to a perfect example from last night. Get it back on the page I was on before. Okay, Donald Trump comes out. Well, let me find Tom Bevan's post. I mean, I think I know I made a comment to Tom Bevan. Okay, and this is when Trump came out last night and he started talking about uh, the the big autism announcement that he will be making today. And when Trump mentioned that last night, I picked Tom Bevan. He was far from the only one. Instantly said, "Oh my God, no, no, stop! Don't do that. This is not the time or place to be doing that. Stop that." Okay, and yeah, here's Tom Bevan. This is the guy that runs the Real Clear Politics website. And he said, well, what is Trump doing? Autism is important, but this is not the time or place for that. That's the perfect example of a political poster, a political consultant. My God, man, don't do that. You could cost yourself a couple points in the polls if you do that. The political class is gonna gasp in horror, and I mentioned this. Let me go to this other post that I had up. Make sure you can see that one. Okay, yeah. And I said this. Okay. Well, let's listen to what Trump actually said first. Let's go to that first. Okay.
Announcement, and tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcement, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. We're going to be doing it with Bobby and Oz and all of the professionals. I think you're going to find it to be amazing. I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism. Tomorrow we're going to be talking in the Oval Office in the White House about autism. And tomorrow we're going to have one.
Yeah, so that's what Trump had to say. Okay, yeah, my brother's telling me that people couldn't actually hear what Trump said. So let me try again.
And tomorrow we're going to have one of the biggest announcement, really medically, I think, in the history of our country. We're going to be doing it with Bobby and Oz and all of the professionals. I think you're going to find it to be amazing. I think we found an answer to autism. How about that? Autism. Tomorrow we're going to be talking in the Oval Office in the White House about autism.
Okay, there's a way the political consultant class is going to react to that. Okay, and Tom Bevan was a perfect example. Oh my God, no! Don't do that. This is not the time or place. Okay, but Trump is not a politician. He's not. He never will be a politician. Okay. So every single political poster and political consultant gasped at her when Trump said this. So in a political vacuum, you do not do this kind of thing. But Trump is not a politician. He does not and never has listened to political posters and consultants when it comes to what he does. So something big is coming today. And let me go to this other post that I did. This just got me thinking about some things. The one where I talk about my view of Trump back in 2016, 2017, where I hope many of you probably already know this. I was a massive never Trumper. If you didn't know that, well, it's true. I was very big into never Trump because, as I've discussed many times, I was trapped deep in the neocon matrix back then, I was very heavily pulled into neocon land. I was reading all their magazines, they had like National Review Online, the Weekly Standard. I was reading all their books and Coulter, Jonah Goldberg, Stephen Hayes, Mona Karen, all those people. Okay, I was very deeply in the middle of all of that in 2015 and 2016. So I remember back in 2015, 2016, when I was trapped deep in neocon land, I was telling everybody what Trump's biggest weakness was. That he was an outsider. Okay, excuse me, brain fart. Let's look at what Joe Rogan had to say first. Let's listen to Joe Rogan. They find a way to boost the sound on this. I'm not sure how to do that. Okay, let's play the clip and see if you can hear it.
I don't think it's inevitability that we destroy ourselves, but it's a possibility. And I think there's a lot of foolish people that are ignoring that possibility. And that's what's scary. And what's scary is that the type of people that want to become president, congressmen, and senators, some of them are great people, and some of them are they're wise and they're good leaders, and some of them are just people that are too ugly to be on TV. They're too ugly to be actors. They're too ugly to be. They can't sing. They want attention, and so they want to be a leader, and so they want to say the things that people want to hear because those things get them positive attention, and they feel good. And then they get a bunch of people who love them, and they feel good. And then they have their face on a billboard and their bumper stickers, and like everybody likes me, and the people who don't like me, they're communists or losers. And so it's a cult of personality thing that is just a part of being a charismatic person and garnering attention. And that's a giant part of our whole political process is narcissists and psychopaths and sociopaths that have embedded themselves into the system. And then they all feed off each other and help each other. And they're all insider trading and they're all involved. And then when they leave office, they get paid to speak in front of bankers and make $500,000. We're overrun by sociopaths.
What's the why is that?
Well, it's a natural path. Like that's what most leaders are. Most leaders of immense groups of people that force people into war are sociopaths.
It's the old adage that, you had to be crazy to become president in the first place,
Yes.
Or you wouldn't become president because you would realize it's crazy.
Yeah, my take is that no one who wants to be president should be allowed to be president. Almost no one. And that's also part of the problem that with the world we're living in today. It's always the lesser of two evils. That's our choice, always. I don't.
Okay. So who was Joe Rogan said there? My brother tells me the sound was much better on that clip. So he said they're all sociopaths, they're all narcissists, they all help each other out. They're all insider trading. When they leave office, they get paid to speak in front of bankers and make $500,000. So we are overrun by sociopaths. That's pretty accurate take there. So when I saw that clip, I had to go back in my mind to 2015, 2016. And, it's like I've been on a very long journey at this point, waking up to certain things, drinking my coffee and, waking up and reassessing things and going back and looking at stuff I thought I knew, that was settled. It was settled in my head. And I got to go back and look at it again. So it's painful. I know. It's just painful to go back to 2015, 2016 and listen to all the never Trumper arguments that I was making at that time. He's an outsider. He hadn't earned it. He hadn't come up the right way through the system. He hadn't paid his dues. That's another term they use. He didn't pay his dues. That's why you had like the entire neocon defense, military, contracting, think tank, GOP think tank, foreign policy people in Washington, D.C. who make up a lot of the GOP space in Washington, D.C. Okay, he's an outsider. He'll make a horrible president. Not one of us. He didn't pay his dues. He didn't come up the right way. My God, how fucking naive I was. And I was very naive. See, Donald Trump was exactly what this country needed because he wasn't one of them. He didn't need the job. He didn't need the money. He didn't even need the fame. He was already a billionaire several times over. He was already famous. Shit, he had the Apprentice on TV. You know how famous you get when you have a TV show that's on the top 10, and it was for many years. What did he need the job of president for? Okay, so we're 10 years into this now, and they still can't figure out how to get him, how to get to him, how to control him. And I picked these memes I made for this. One of these men is the peacemaker. You have no idea how hard Trump is making it for the forever war machine for the last 8 months. Every time they try to get a new conflict started, what happens? Guy shows up with a bucket of water. They try to start the fire, the foreign policy people and their Operation Gladio, cleverly disguised post-war paramilitary units disguised as terrorist cells and criminal gangs. They try to rogue regimes. They try to start a new fire somewhere. This fucking guy shows up with a bucket of water. He puts it out. Getting real hard out there for a warmonger. So, one of these men is the peacemaker who's ended many wars and military conflicts. The other is that warmongering asshole, Henry Kissinger. Ever notice which one the foreign policy wants of praise, endlessly praised, and which one they endlessly attack? Why do you think that is? Now use this one. They knew what was coming if he got back in there. He'd given them all the signs. They didn't have any illusions about what he was going to do if he made it back into the White House. No illusions whatsoever. It's a hard truth to face at first. That even Reagan was managed. Even Reagan. This is a picture of all the living presidents. Okay. Reagan done shuffled off this mortal before this picture was taken. Jimmy Carter shuffled off it since it was taken. Now, one of the brutal things that, if you were trapped deep in neocon land like I was, and you begin toning around from the darkness and you begin making your way slowly to the light, okay? We haven't had a real president my entire lifetime. JFK was probably the last real one we had. They killed him. Nixon was heavily managed when he went against him. They didn't impeach him. They forced him to resign with a fake Watergate scandal. And then Trump, and there was a long line of people between Nixon and Trump. And it's hard to accept the fact that our country was taken over by a hostile foreign entity. A lot of people struggle with this. We're the United States of America, Jack. We've never been slaves to anybody. What the hell are you talking about? What the hell are you talking about? We were taken over. What the hell are you talking about? We were debt slaves. We're slaves to no one. There's 400 million guns in this country, Jack. What are you talking about? And it's hard to accept this, I know. Getting back to Charlie Kirk, light versus dark. Growing up with a dark cult controlling our country from the shadows, behind the scenes. There's a fake government that's put out there of puppets to hold your attention. Yay, Team Red. Boo, Team Blue, okay? There's a fake puppet government they put out there to hold your attention to distract you. Okay. To suck you in and make you think that that fake theater is real. Meanwhile, the real shit gets done in the shadows. The real people that run this country run it from the shadows, okay? And Trump's known this probably all of his life. Trump didn't make a mistake last night at the Charlie Kirk Memorial when he mentioned that today is going to be a great and terrible day. He didn't make a mistake. He's making a major announcement today on autism. And this will be difficult for the parents of this country. I mean, lay aside the fact how they've been fucking with the rest of us, with the vaccines for generations now, decades now. Let's put that aside. Just the autism issue. No, I get into COVID yet. The bait and switch they did with the COVID vaccines, the mRNA shots, the vaccines, really experimental gene therapy shots, okay. Put all that aside. We're not there yet. Just the autism thing. How it grew from 1 in 1,200 in the 70s to 1 in 12 boys today. The people who were minding the store while that happened, people who were supposed to be on watch. Today is a great and terrible day. I tell people, when this comes out, you see, the best excuse they could give, the one excuse they could give that will probably work with the public would be, we made a tragic and horrible mistake and we simply weren't paying attention to what was going on as we increased the childhood vaccine schedules from about 4 shots in 1970 to over 14 different shots and 70 plus doses by the year 2000. We just weren't paying attention. No one was minding the store. No one was looking at the data while the autism rates fucking exploded. It's escaped our attention. Please forgive us. That might have worked if the data didn't exist and if it hadn't been being tracked all these decades while this massive explosion of autism rates was occurring. They might have been able to sell that defense, that excuse. But they were tracking it. Somebody was minding the store. They were very well aware of what was going on. And the data is going to prove this to you when it comes out. This didn't sneak up on them, is what I'm trying to tell you, okay? It didn't sneak up on any of them. You understand? Didn't sneak up on them. Now, when the data comes out and the country is, especially the parents of this country, are shown that all of this autism data was being carefully tracked as the decades rolled by, the year after year, they were carefully measuring and monitoring the autism rates while knowing what was causing it. What do you think is the next question that's going to occur to the parents of America, especially those who have autistic kids? What's the next question? Well, you've been carefully tracking the data since the 70s on the autism rate and the vaccines, usage of vaccines, the expansion of the vaccines, and then the rising autism rate. So you were carefully tracking that. You were paying careful, detailed attention to how many kids were being born and becoming neurologically damaged as the years rolled by. You were paying careful attention to that. Why the fuck didn't you say anything? That's the next question, you see. You see the logical progression of this? You understand why I've been saying there's no comeback for any of these people? There's no fucking public relations firm you can hire. There's no apology tour you can go on to fix this when it comes out. What fucking PR firm could you hire that could finesse this boy? Wait. I vaccinated my child according to the CDC's official childhood vaccine schedule so they could attend public school, and they became autistic and they suffered neurological damage from the vaccines. You motherfuckers were tracking this. While it went from 1 in 1,200 to 1 in 12 boys, and you didn't say shit and you knew what was causing it. What the fuck is the matter with you people? What the fuck have you been doing to us? It's coming. You know why I know it? Yeah, okay, look, let's get into this. Because I hear from black pillars every day. They watch all the pieces moving on the board, but they think that the checkmate isn't coming on this. No, Trump is just fucking with us. Bobby's fucking with us. Or Trump and Bobby will lose their nerve at the last minute. They'll never, or Big Pharma's gonna take them both out, and this will never happen. This is just wishful thinking. We're all trapped in, wearing Pollyanna glasses or whatever. There's no way this could ever happen, that they will ever allow this information to come out. If they could stop this, they would have stopped it by now. Wouldn't you agree? If they could stop Trump and Bobby from exposing what they've been doing to all of us, and especially the kids, wouldn't they have stopped it by now, you literally have Bobby firing people at the CDC. They're being dragged in front of Congress, and they have no good answers. See that lady, that bitch that testified last week, that had that job for about a month, you know? Bobby was talked into giving her the job, I guess, so she could expose herself. And she ends up in front of Congress and she's questioned about why are we giving hepatitis B vaccines to infants. She can't She can't even fucking defend that. Did you notice that? They can't even defend it. What they've been doing. Nothing's gonna stop this. These people are fighting a desperate rear guard action, okay? They're trying to limit the exposure. The only thing that's the issue right now is the time frame. How long will it take for it to come out? Trump says major announcements coming today. Now, some people are already claiming they know what it is. It's the Tylenol thing, okay? We'll get into that. The Tylenol shit that came out like a month or two ago when the study was started to get popular attention. Today, Trump's going to come out and talk about Tylenol while during pregnancy, how it causes a rise in autism based on a study. Yeah, okay, we'll see. Why do you think they fought so hard? First of all, just to keep Bobby from having, they fought tooth and claw to keep Trump from coming back in the first place. Then they fought to try to stop his cabinet appointments. And Bobby was the big one. Bobby, if they talk about, Pam Bondi, Cash, Pete at the DOD, okay, Tulsi at DNI. Sure, they put up a stiff fight on all of those. But Bobby was the big one. Why? Why was it so important to them to stop Bobby? They knew exactly what he was going to do. He talked about this for years. He told them in advance what he was going to do. This is an existential fight for these people. You understand that? I keep hammering this point home. There is no comeback for them if this gets out. There's no fucking PR firm you can hire. There's no apology tour you can go on to fix this, to come back from this. You understand? I touched on this earlier. Let's just go a little more in depth. They can't even begin to argue. They weren't tracking this. They weren't tracking the neurological developmental damage they've been doing to America's kids for the last couple decades. Because they had the data. The data was compiled. The data was accessed. They were looking at it. They were studying it. They were even trying different vaccine cocktails to see which one gave them the best results. They can't say they weren't paying attention. No one was minding the story. You understand that? They can't say that. This gets out. There is no comeback these people could ever make. It's impossible. They weren't. Yeah, okay, look. Just on the autism thing. You know how many parents have autistic kids out there now? Forget the flu shots. Forget the COVID shots. Forget the clot shots. They got all the other shots. Just the shit they did with the childhood vaccine schedule. Just that one thing. And they're tracking it and they're watching it. And they're discussing the results among themselves and they're trying different things to see if they can get better results. These people will not be able to walk down the street. They won't. They won't be able to. Let me find that meme I did. Yeah, some people think this is a joke. Me, ha ha, Brian, good joke. Okay. They think it's a joke when I talk about it. Going to my profile, I put it up a couple times a week now to make sure everybody gets a chance to see it. And I'm even irritating some people. Some people go, "Oh my God, you're sharing that again. Stop, stop. I've seen that too many times now. Okay, it's getting boring. Okay, listen. You will see this again many times. Okay, you will see this again many times. There's a reason I keep sharing this. All right." Just look at it for a minute. Do you know who that is on the right? That's a Nazi doctor, Dr. Joseph Mengele. Remember when Laura Logan was fired instantly from Fox News for daring to state on the air a comparison between Dr. Anthony Fauci and Dr. Joseph Mengele? Oh, that was a bridge too far. Big Pharma funded Fox News. That was a bridge too far. She was instantly shit canned for saying that. Now, vaccines do have, at a very elemental, basic level, if properly utilized, they can be a benefit. The problem is that an evil Luciferian cult got in here and repurposed vaccine programs and greatly expanded them for nefarious purposes. I'm not anti-vaccine. I'm anti-vaccine program for nefarious purposes. Okay, there's a difference. I have the exact same viewpoint that RFK Jr. does. You should show everybody every fucking ingredient that's in one of these vaccines. You should show everybody all the side effects of every vaccine. You should show everybody the harms and the amount of injury that come from taking a vaccine. You need complete and open transparency and informed consent. Somebody got in here. They set up a system that vastly expanded the childhood vaccine program to, it went from like 3 shots you had to have in 1970. They grew it to over 14 shots you needed by the year 2000. And you needed the 14 different shots in up to 70 different doses. And they did that for a reason. And when America's parents start to find out what that reason was, what they were doing to the kids and why, and it wasn't for their fucking health, all right? That's not it. They did not take the childhood vaccine schedule from 3 or 4 shots in 1970 to over 14 different types of vaccines and 70 plus doses by the year 2000. They did not do that to improve the health of America's children. You understand what I'm telling you? I mean, I hope you understand what I'm telling you here. Okay? When you experiment on human beings like this, when you experiment on the youngest and weakest and most vulnerable of our people, when you do this, you know, I try to tell people when this comes out and America's parents discover what they've been tricked into doing to their own kids, it will literally bend some people's minds. You understand? You understand how bad this is? And these Luciferians that crept in among us, they set up a system. Whereas they were greatly expanding the childhood vaccine schedule, they protected and shielded themselves with absolute and total immunity from any harm caused by their expanding vaccination schedule. It literally became the only product that you want your kid in public school, you better give them these shots then. They fucking mandated it, all right? And America's parents, not knowing any better, still trusting these fucking people. Like Dr. Anthony Fauci. Still trusting these government, CDC, FDA, NIH experts, authority figures, doing what they were counseled to do. The parents of this country, there's a reason these fucking people will not be able to walk down the street, I'll put it that way. If you are a parent and you have an autistic child and you find out the reason your child is autistic because you trusted these motherfuckers, you trusted them, did what they told you to do, and now you find out they tricked you. You find out what their real purposes were, what they were really doing, and why they were really doing it. I swear to God, if I was a parent of an autistic child and I saw Dr. Anthony Fauci daring to show his face on the street, I would try to beat the son of a bitch to death with my bare hands. These people will not be able to walk down the street. Forget a fucking comeback. There is no coming back from this. Just on the autism shit. Like I said, we haven't even gotten to the fucking bait and switch they pulled on the COVID vaccine and all the funky numbers they were showing to Donald Trump back in 2020. We haven't even gotten that far yet. The bait and switch. The fucking bait and switch they did on the COVID vaccines, showing Trump the fake data. We haven't even gotten there yet. Just the autism shit now. I calm down. Okay. My blood pressure. They took a legitimate medical intervention and they warped it. They warped it. And they corrupted it. And they expanded it for their own fucking nefarious purposes. And they've been hiding this for decades. While things got worse and worse, and the kids got sicker and sicker, and more damaged, they knew exactly what the fuck they were doing. You understand why that's not a, that meme I made, right? You see it? Yeah, I see that meme right there. I put a picture of Anthony Fauci right next to a picture of Dr. Joseph Mengele. Why did I do that? Well, why is Dr. Joseph Mengele infamous? Why is he nefarious? Why does everybody agree he was a very sick and evil son of a bitch? Human experimentation. He experimented on kids. What the fuck do you think Anthony Fauci and all these white coat medical experts from the fucking CDC and the NIH and the NIAID, what the fuck do you think they've been doing to America's kids for the last 50, 60 years? They carefully, incrementally set up a system to deliberately harm America's children. And is everybody paying attention? Protect themselves from all liability while they did it. That's the America you've been living in up until now. From 4 vaccine doses in 1970, and then they introduced the official childhood. The CDC introduced the official childhood vaccination schedule, 75, 76. About the same year we established the Department of Education under Jimmy Carter, which was in 77 or 78, I believe. But the CDC started putting out an official childhood vaccine schedule in the mid 1970s. And people noticed, wow, if the vaccine numbers go up, our kids are getting sicker, kids are dying. No problem, they said. We need to get, it's very important as we improve the health of America's children. Very important that we get complete and total fucking liability. And they got it. They want to keep that. We get complete and total, immunity from any liability. That's what I meant to say. If they expanded the childhood vaccine schedule and kids started obviously beginning to suffer and get injured by the expanded vaccine schedule, they said, we need total and complete immunity from any liability. And that's what happened. They got it. And trust me on this, they are 100% fucking determined to keep that immunity from any liability whatsoever. They're determined to keep it. They'll fight tooth and claw for it. So yeah, back in 1970, school officials would tell parents, Well, that's a nice child you have there, and you want him to come to our public school system and be indoctrinated and all the other wonderful things we do here. But before you can put your child in our public school, then you must show us a record and prove to us that your child has received these 3 or 4 vaccines. That's how it started. And in the 80s, 1989 is when they went for broke. They added like, I forget how many, I have to go look, 10, 14, however it was. They added a bunch in 1989. They added a bunch of new shots to the childhood vaccine schedule. New doses. Now, there's only like 14 basic vaccines that they give. I know some people, they throw around 70 different vaccines. No. We need to be accurate. It's about 14 different separate vaccines, but kids now get multiple doses of them, some of them. So it's 14 vaccines administered over 70 doses from infancy to 18 years of age. 70 doses. And while they were doing this, it was very important to them that they get immunity, and they got it. And they're determined to hang on to that immunity with both hands. You know what the word pharmakia means? Pharmacy? Go back and look it up in the ancient Greek. Give me a second. Thinking about what I was saying. Gotta be careful here. Use of pharmaceutical drugs to alter the mind, to alter the body, the mind, and the spirit has always been a key part of pagan, whatever you want to call it, paganism, satanic worship, Luciferian cult activity. Drug use plays a big role in it. One of the biggest reasons the people who set up our current Rockefeller-based, Luciferian-based medical system as an alternative to holistic medical practices, which bring you closer to the earth. Holistic practices bring you closer to the earth, closer to nature. Sun, light, water, energy, dirt, the earth, the grass. Okay. One reason they deliberately established a medical establishment to draw people away from holistic, earth-centered, nature-centered medicine was to make it easier to control and program people. The further you get away from nature, the sicker you get. And a lot of them creating a more easily programmable population. It's going to sound weird. I know it sounds like New Age shit at first, okay? One reason they lure you further and further away from nature and get you to take petroleum-based drugs is to get you away from that connection to the light, to the earth, to nature. They need you to be isolated, trapped in their matrix, so to speak, where you only seek their kind of solution to your symptoms. The further and further you get away from light, water, pure light, pure water, pure air, pure earth, the further you get away from that, the sicker you get. One of the best things I ever did to improve my health was to get outside and walk on the grass in the sunlight on my bare feet, wearing a pair of shorts. It's done wonders for me, okay? They want to pull you away from that into a different world, a sheltered, concrete world where you constantly bathe in artificial light, your circadian rhythms are completely disrupted. That's what they want. And they're feeding you drugs, endless drugs. As your symptoms of being cut off from nature get worse and worse, they want you to take more and more drugs. That's what they want. The whole system is designed for that. What is about to happen when this comes out? Americans realize what the pharmaceutical big pharma, what the drug pushing wing, and look, vaccines are drugs administered by other means. Okay, what is a vaccine? I mean, or what is a mRNA gene therapy? Okay, jab into your arm. It's taking in drugs by other means. That's all it is. Okay, so the further they pull you away from the sun, the further they pull you away from nature, the sicker you get, the worse your symptoms get. They give you more different varied kinds of drugs to manage the symptoms. They don't cure jack shit. Never have, never will. They mask the pain. They mask the symptoms. They make the symptoms lessen to an extent you will keep doing the same shit that that got you sick in the first place. But now you're better now. Your symptoms aren't as bad. But what they really don't want you to do is to go back to the light. They don't want you to go back into nature, back into holistic medicine, and start actually healing your damn body. They don't want that. They don't make any money off of that. So, why did I write this note? The pharmakeia wing of the Luciferian cult is going to be the first wing that gets clipped. Why? That's the one that where most of their control that keeps a lot of people asleep, pulled out of the light, scared of the light. That's the one they rely on. The cult has different wings. There's the intelligence agency wing. There's the military industrial complex wing. I've added a new one, okay? I used to say there were just three. The intelligence agencies, the military industrial complex, and then the Iron Bank, the oligarchs families that run the Iron Banks. Well, I'm adding a fourth wing now because I realized it was time to do that. The pharmakeia wing, the drug wing they use to keep everybody drugged and complacent and more easily controllable. The closer you get to nature, the more you get out in the light, the more you bathe in the sun, the more you walk on the beach or on the grass barefoot, the healthier you get, the further into the light you go, the less dependent they can make you upon themselves. It's very important to them that you be dependent. Very important. This is the first wing that's going to get clipped. What happens? Okay, I'm telling you the natural progression of thought. I've already kind of gone into this. What's going to happen when it comes out? What they did to the kids with the shots, all the neurological autism is just one thing on the neurological damage spectrum. Autism is just one thing. So there's a whole host of other allergies and other shit that happens to our kids on this accelerated vaccine schedule that they put into place over the last 50, 60 years, ever since the 1970s. They've been doing a lot of damage here, okay? It's going to start with autism. The American parents are going to say, well, wait a minute. What about all these other shots they're encouraging my child to get? If these are the shots that cause the autism for the thermosterol and all these other mercury aluminum loads that are in there, what about all these other shots? What about the COVID shots we've all been taking? If they would deliberately harm America's children and cover it up, if they could see the expanded vaccine schedule, they could watch the rise and follow the rise and so what I'm searching for, transcribe and store the data and look at it based on the rise of autism. What else have they been looking at that's causing damage? And they didn't say shit about it. What else? What's coming out about the COVID jabs? We can call them vaccines. They're not vaccines. They are experimental gene therapies. Trump was shown one thing, and then they went and did something else. And they didn't even honestly show him the data. What they did show him, they cooked it. Get into that briefly. The old bait and switch. How long have they been pulling the old bait and switch? When it comes to the data they bother to put out there, how much of it have they been cooking versus what they actually do? What have they been hiding as far as the data goes? And then we find out, and this has been documented, by the way, they show one type of vaccine in the trials, and then they switch, when they give it to the general public, they switch to a different type of vaccine. The old bait and switch. This is what's going to happen. There's going to start with autism. And a lot of America's parents, when they face the awful truth, they're going to wake up and they're going to start asking all kinds of really awkward questions. Really awkward questions now. Terribly awkward questions. What else have you been hiding from us? And it's kind of like night follows day. They're going to go right to the COVID vaccines. COVID mRNA experimental gene therapies. They're going to go right from autism to the COVID therapies that were given without informed consent, that were given while they were hiding a shit ton of data from the American public. And they don't want to show it to you for 70 fucking years. 2090 or whatever, yeah. 2095. This is the great and terrible day because this is coming out and they can't stop it. They can't even argue they weren't tracking it because Bobby's got the data. They were tracking it. Oh well, we weren't really paying attention. Okay. Now there's one thing they're gonna try to do, and this comes out now. All these people that lied their asses off to you about COVID to get you to take those jabs without real informed consent, they're all going to come out and claim Bobby's lying. This data has been cooked. They're gonna try to throw their weight behind official pronouncements as authority figures, the same way they got all of America's parents to follow the childhood vaccine schedule. They're going to come out and pretend they still have that same authority. But there's a problem. Let me show you what the problem is. They have a major problem that they can't fix. Okay. They can try to fix it, but they can't fix it. Hold on, I'm trying to find this next here. It's a video clip off of YouTube. Okay. Here's again, I gotta share. Okay, hold on, give me a second. All right. Here's the problem they face. Watch.
I've lost my mojo.
Yeah.
I've lost my mojo.
Yeah, okay. This is a serious problem now. They have lost their mojo. They went all in. You see, you have to understand from the very beginning what the existential threat Donald Trump was to them. They had to go all in on getting him out of office in 2020. They had to. So there were various pandemics that they were planning to do. I think they were forced to kind of go early on some things. Just like they were forced to rush the trans thing. See, the idea was to go slow with that. Trump forced them to speed it up where it got obvious what they were doing. You know, 1 minute we're arguing about whether drag queens should be allowed to read storybooks to the kids at the public library. Now, 10 minutes later, we're up to boys in wigs running in girls' sports. What happened? Well, they were forced to go really fast. They did the same thing with the COVID jab. It was very important to them that they get as many people as possible to take those experimental mRNA gene therapy shots without any informed consent. So important to them that happened. So to make that happen, they all had to what? Lie their asses off like new Joseph Goebbels, like new propaganda ministers. They all had to get out there and lie their asses off to get as many people as possible to take these shots. Mandated, make people lose their jobs. Kids couldn't go to school. You know, but, I mean, I'm not even getting there all lockdowns and a mask and the 6-foot rule and all that shit. Just on this is what the real point was, by the way. Not been stealing the election from Trump. Yes, made it easier to steal the election from Trump. But the main thing for their agenda, their overall population control agenda and their control agenda, the main thing was to trick as many people as possible into taking those jobs. That was the point. Without informed consent, trick them, mandate them into taking those shots. It was very important to these people. And you only get to pull that evil trick once. One time. So they lock these people now. One reason why Trump and Bobby are doing what they've been doing, and they're going to keep doing what they've been doing, one reason they can't be stopped is because all these government and medical health experts have lost their mojo. They lost it. They don't have the authority left to stop Trump and Bobby. You understand that? Isn't it obvious? They've been saying for a while, if they could stop Bobby and Trump from doing what they're doing, they'd have stopped them by now. So the thing is, they're forced to bluff. They're forced to get out there and bluff this shit out of everybody. They act like they still have that authority, but they don't have it. And after today, more than 70% of the USA will never trust them again. Their trust is already deeply damaged. When America's parents find out what they were brutally and evilly, yes, evilly tricked into doing to their own kids based on expert advice. Mandates. Sure, I want my kid to be able to go to public school. I have to give them these shots. I have to show that they got these shots. for my kid to attend public school. I have to do this, okay? I'm telling you, when this comes out, America's parents find out, you cannot. I mean, it's going to be impressive. I have a really good imagination. I think one of the biggest reasons for the vaccine, the different vaccine cocktails they've experimented with over the last 50 years, they're trying to drive the imagination out of the American public. Maybe I escaped that. I don't know. I have a pretty good idea what's going to happen when the American public wakes up and realizes what they were tricked into doing to their own children. You can't govern on anything without trust. If the public does not fucking trust you, you can't give them any expert counsel. You cannot give the public any advice any longer. You certainly can't go ahead, try to fucking mandate something over an American public that no longer fucking trusts you. Go ahead and try that. So when this comes out, and it's going to come out, Trump's openly talking about it now. He said today, so maybe not tonight, sometime today, he's going to be making this announcement. Now, some people think it's the Tylenol thing. Oh, Trump's just going to do the Tylenol thing, A couple weeks, maybe it was 2 months. I don't remember how long ago. A Tylenol study. A study came out about Tylenol. Women who take Tylenol during pregnancy, the child has a greater incidence of autism. Dr. Joel Siegel, he was on Fox News this morning, Neocon News this morning, says he thinks it's going to be the Tylenol thing. That Trump did this big buildup. He and Bobby are going to come out and announce a study that was publicized 2 months ago. That's the big announcement today. That women who take Tylenol while they're pregnant, medical studies show there's a little bit higher incidence of autism in their children. Well, I don't think that's it, but we'll find out, as my brother's saying in the comments, 4 p.m. We'll find out at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. About 5.5 hours from now. I don't think this is the Tylenol thing. I think this is, the moment they managed to get Bobby in there, you had a bunch of people quit. Back in April, they got Bobby in there. You had people like Paul Offit and Dr. Marks and all these other people just left. And they started making the media tours. They start doing all the media rounds, and they start giving interviews, how bad this is, how this is horrible, terrible, anti-vaccine fanatic. Bobby Kennedy Jr. is now the Health and Human Services Secretary. Oh, this is a disaster for the country. This is a complete and total disaster. The country may never recover from this. You know why these people are in such a panic? They know what the data they've been hiding. They know what the data shows. They know what it shows. But so far, for many decades, I liken it to I liken this to a religion. I talk about Luciferian cult. I'm not really exaggerating when I call it that. And there's a whole pharmakeia wing of the Luciferian cult. that they have set up in our society. They set it up by creating the Rockefeller. When they drove out, they literally drove holistic medicine into the wilderness. Nature connected healing, real healing medicine. They drove that into the wilderness and they built this thing in its place. Okay, they built this thing in its place. There were reasons they did that. Okay, and they've had control for a long time. Only the most committed and experienced priests of this thick medical establishment that was founded to accomplish certain purposes. They have a temple. Let's call it the Holy of Holies. That's where all the real data is kept, whether they're taking and gauging and analyzing what they're doing to the kids and everybody else with the flu shots, the polio shots, all the other shots they've been given. They study all of this now. They do collect the data and they study it. It's kept in the Holy of Holies, and only the most sacred high priests are allowed into their Holy of Holies. No infighter has ever gotten in there. Infidel. No. Nobody who was not a high priest of their high and or of their dark and insidious religion is ever allowed in there. You're not allowed behind that curtain. You know how the Jewish people, the temple had a holy of holies. You had the outer court where any priest could serve. Then the inner court. You better be one of the high priestly families to go into that inner court. If you were caught in there and you didn't belong there, oh shit, that was bad. But then, and even further in from the inner court was the Holy of Holies. Only one guy was allowed in there once a year, and he better bring blood with him. He had better bring the blood with him to pour over the Ark of the Covenant. They have something like this in a Luciferian cult, the Pharmakia wing, okay? That's keeping our country dry, keeping our country sick on purpose. You have to be one of them to get access to that. Bobby is the first one that's most decidedly not one of them to get in there. He is now inside the Holy of Holies. And he brought real scientists with him who were going over the data. And these people are terrified out of their fucking minds that he's going to start making this data public. And when he does, I'm telling you, I know some of you doubt this, you know. So be American parents out there. Oh yeah, I ended up with an autistic child, you know, because I followed the childhood vaccine. Oh well, no harm, no foul, no problem. I don't give a shit. Oh, you may have an odd person every now and then with a very weird psychology. That might be the, oh yeah, okay, I was tricked into harming my own children. Oh well, life goes on. Nothing I can do about it now. Oh, well, actually, there is something new about it now. You can totally take that vaccine, that childhood vaccine schedule that they created, that monstrosity. You can totally fucking burn it to the ground and piss on the ashes and put a real holistic healing medicine establishment in its place. You can do that. Well, I don't see 75, 80% of American parents go, oh, well, shit, fine, they tricked us. Oh, well, I'm over it. No problem. We should still vaccinate the kids. No. No, that's not how this is going to go. You ever watch an entire medical industry instantly disappear overnight? Well, you're about to. See, some people, because of their lack of imagination, they cannot imagine the total fucking fury of an entire country of parents when they realize what they've been tricked by an evil Luciferian cult into doing to their own kids. They can't imagine. Maybe they don't have kids, maybe they can't imagine it. I have a pretty good imagination. Let my brother say in the comments, they lie like hell to you. They gaslight the fuck out of you about what SIDS is. That's sudden infant death syndrome, for those of you who are real into. You think they don't know what's been causing that? The toxic reaction infants have to having those toxic substances pumped into their tiny bodies. You think they don't know what's been causing that and how they carefully set up an entire immunity system to avoid any accountability or any responsibility for that? You think they don't know? Oh, they knew. It's when Americans' parents find out, when the evidence comes out, and what everybody kind of suspects on a basic instinctual level, now verified by cold hard data, is when you will literally see an entire medical industry fucking go poof and disappear overnight. We got to build something new from scratch. It's not just going to be the vaccine industry. You understand how joined at the hip the vaccine industry is to big pharma and all the Rockefeller-based medical establishment we've been laboring under all these years because we trusted these fucking people? You understand how joined together they are when the vaccine industry goes, falls over and dies? And Big Pharma gets sued up the ass for having, the best way to say this. Every single one of these people that were involved in this, Fauci, Francis Collins, all of them, are dragged into the light of day to account for what they've done. That old system is gone. It all collapses together. It's one diseased temple. It's not like one room in the diseased temple is about to collapse with the foundational thing. They're all sitting on the whole diseased temple sits on the same foundation. Trust. You did for decades what these people told you to do because you trusted them. That trust is gone now. That's why these crimes they've been committing against humanity, the crimes they've been committing against the children, can be exposed now. You could not have rolled this out 5 years ago. Even though it would still have been true, because the country wasn't ready to see it yet. Country wasn't ready to see it yet. And it hurts. It hurts to wait because we lose people while we wait. But the country had to be ready to absorb this shock And it's going to be a shock for a lot of people out there. It's going to be a massive shock. Okay, hold on. Let me go find this other thing I wanted to highlight while I was here and during this. Okay, this is something I meant to get into earlier. I'll do it now because it kind of touches on what I'm talking about. We needed a spiritual awakening to hit this country and to build and get stronger and grow to the point that Trump and Bobby can now do this and survive doing it. Okay. And I know it hurts, and a lot of people don't really believe me when I tell them this. But if you try to do this too early, it's counterproductive. If you try to do it too early. Well, the truth is the truth. Just throw it out there anyway. There'll always be people with that attitude. Who cares who gets hurt? Who cares if Trump and Bobby get instantly destroyed? You know, they should have done this 5-6 years ago. You will always have people that will tell you that. The goal is not just to show people the truth. The goal is to survive and advance and fix it when you show people the truth. If you're in a position where just showing the people the truth, but you won't be able to fix it, and you'll actually slide 100 fucking yards back further down the mountain if you do it now. You know, thank God some of these trolls out there, some of these black pillars aren't in charge of a fucking thing. Let's read the post. We have to face the awful truth during this great spiritual awakening. The dark enemy has been in our midst patiently, relentlessly at work for all of our lives, while many of us slept in blissful obliviousness. Every day, choices we make. By choices we and all the people around us are making, we pull ourselves gradually, foot by foot, yard by yard, closer or further away from the light. We move incrementally as we shape ourselves by these choices over the days, weeks, months, years, closer or further away from the dark. And the truth is, Charlie's leaving us the way he did is shocking because many people did not realize they live in the Bible world, not the stupid, fake as fuck secular world that the Luciferians crafted for us and indoctrinated us into believing was the true world. You don't live in that secular world. You live in the Bible world. And the pull of the dark is quite strong for some people. They have come to love the dark, to cherish the light, to find the gaslighting they engage in to be quite precious to them. They've crafted for themselves dark souls that delight in mocking and sneering at the truth, at the light. And this is what you saw manifesting itself in the mirrored social media postings where people now extremely comfortable in the spiritual darkness had no problem showing the rest of us where they currently are in the great battle of our age. The good news is all the people on the light side were once in the dark themselves. But they turned around and they started pulling themselves in the other direction. So no matter how deeply someone is trapped on the dark side, they can come back. You will seek me and find me when you seek me with all your heart. That's Jeremiah 29:15. Now with man, a lot of people doubt this. People can come back, even no matter how far they are on the dark side. Oh, that's bullshit. But with man, this is not possible. But with God, all things are possible. So you doubt this can happen, you take it up with the big guy upstairs. Don't take it up with me. So this is not a political fight. It never has been. It is at its essence a spiritual war between light and dark, between good and evil, between God and Lucifer. The Luciferian cult delights in hiding itself, disguising itself, making its approaches to potential converts in myriad forms. Always lying, always deceiving, always entrapping, always promising power, wealth, sex, fame. The light doesn't disguise itself. Nothing was disguised at that memorial in Arizona last night. There was nothing, there were no shadows, there were no disguises on display. The light burns all of that away. The dark cannot stand in its presence, and that is how we win. And here's a picture of two of our culture's prominent Luciferians, one who shuffled off this mortal coil last year, Lord Jacob Rothschild, and that Ukrainian spirit cooking witch, Marina Abramovic. And I love this painting on the other side. That's the painting done. I forget the artist's name. I can never remember. I believe he was French. He did one because this was Michael casting Lucifer out of heaven. Powerful image. So we're in a war between light and dark going on right now. Going on all around you. Been going on all your life. A lot of us just didn't know it. And a lot of people, it can be alarming to wake up and realize how strong that dark side pull has gotten in our culture, on our university campuses, in our public schools, these Luciferian cultist people. Some people say commie Marxist scum, okay? That they target professions that give them access to the children. They've been at this for a while. I think, parents woke up during COVID. This is one positive aspect of COVID. Parents started actually paying attention to who was teaching their kids and what their kids were being taught in those public schools. And I started showing up at school board meetings, and they found out a lot of money has changed hands, okay? Books have been put in the libraries, and activists have been hired as teachers. This has been going on for a long time. It didn't happen overnight, all right? A lot of money was invested, a lot of planning and strategizing went on to get to that point of 2020, where they could start, that they were indoctrinating your kids on the sly. It can be alarming to wake up and realize there's an organized enemy out there. They're highly organized. They're very well funded. And they are 100% fucking committed to their agenda, which they have hidden from you. Okay, we want to talk just about academia. What they hide, they don't tell the parents that found all those hundreds of thousands of dollars to put their kids through these universities. They don't tell you what they're really planning on doing to your child. And now they found out what's been going on in the public schools the last couple of years. How many activists turn out to have access to your children so they can teach them Luciferian shit, LGBTQ plus stuff. So important to them that they talk to your 5-year-old about birth control and sex. It's so very important to them. This didn't happen overnight. These people been here for a while. The usual blinders, the usual, all the political explanations you hear to explain this away in the political sphere, the political bubble. I hope you're starting to see that's all bullshit. Political consultant class does not have the answer to this. Your politicians in Congress do not have the answer to this. Most of them are Luciferians, you know. Shit. Congress does not have the answer to this. The darkness that's crept in among us. They've infiltrated every institution, even the military. They infiltrated. They've been at their nefarious work for a long time now. And all of a sudden, when we wake up, it's sad. It takes something like a Charlie Kirk getting taken away from us like that, for people to realize that literal, very evil people, you could pat them in the street and you wouldn't know how evil they are. They have to put themselves dancing on TikTok, celebrating a murder, for you to be able to look into their heart and see how far they are into the dark side. That they could be your child's teacher, they could be your professor, your child's professor at college. They've been here a long time. And so a lot of Americans are just, because it's a spiritual awakening. They're waking up over the last couple of years. Some of them woke up in the last week and a half. They're starting to realize they live in the Bible world. They don't live in a secular world. The secular world was an illusion. They create a secular world so they can influence all the kids from that spiritual world while telling you it doesn't fucking exist. They can brainwash and drug up and program the kid with literal demonic shit while they smile and tell you the spiritual realm isn't real. That shit is over. Done. The Great Awakening is a spiritual awakening. And you can never go back to sleep once you woke up and you realize what's going on around you, how bad it is. There's a lot of good things going on too. We outnumber these people. Sometimes I thought, oh, it's so bad, so terrible, it's horrible. We're outnumbered. There's more of them than there are of us. Well, no, that's not true. There's not more of them than there are of us. How many people you think we're really putting? They're so far on the dark side. They're putting videos up on social media celebrating a cold-blooded murder. How many people you think that is? You think that's half the population? Well, it's not. They want you to believe there are way more of them than there really are. That's one of the devil's biggest tricks. The devil didn't get all the angels to rebel against God. He only got 1/3 of them. Probably most of that 1/3 wishes they hadn't done it. God is with us in this fight, and we're not outnumbered. They want you to believe we're outnumbered. I have people tell me all the time. People were telling me this back in 2019 when I first started talking about the Great Awakening. I was really into it by 2020, and by 2022, I was fully on board with Q, fully on board with awakening, and being a digital soldier at the same time. But I've always encountered these black pillars. We've lost already. I don't even understand why you're still fighting. We lost. Deal with it. Yes, people were telling me this in 2022. We got our asses kicked. I don't understand why you still give a shit. Join me over here, in my depression. The water's fine. And then I was telling me the same thing. Look, we lost, okay? Everybody that was going to wake up, woke up already! Quit being a fucking Pollyanna! How's that look now? You were telling me back in 2020, everybody that woke up, everybody that was going to wake up, woke up by now. And we lost. Trump is a pussy. He lost his nerve. He should have sent in the Marines and rolled the tanks into D.C. But he's a pussy and he lost his nerve. Yeah, I had people telling me that. They just find, you understand this is a psychological thing, right? They just find new things to complain about. None of the big arrests have happened yet. Yeah. Okay. Well, they're never gonna happen. Oh, I don't know about that. Like I was telling my brother before we went live here, I actually study shit. I actually read documents. I pay attention to what's going on. I don't watch fake news. Okay, I don't try to understand what's going on by looking at fake news. I don't try to understand what's going on by watching Fox News or watching Bannon's War Room. I know which social media influencers have higher loyalties, okay? I know where to go to find out what's really happening. And I was telling my brother, I've been biding my time. My Substack subscriptions used to be in the 3,000 range. They've dropped down to about 850 because I'm the guy that got Durham wrong, and that's very embarrassing. So I told them I've been waiting for some things that I know are coming. All right, I put in the legwork. I know what's coming. I know how this is going to go. Now, I'm not in charge of the timing. The only thing we're arguing about is the time frame. I know how this is going to go. And when Comey gets arrested, when McCabe gets arrested, some of these people start getting arrested. I will be ready. And those 1,500 to 2,000 subscribers I lost will come back. And you can quote me on that. It's hard to wait. I've never said Get over it. Stop whining to me about it. That you have to wait this long for something to happen. I've always said the same thing. I wish this was going faster too. Yeah, I do. I wish it was. It's hard to wait. I mean, I've developed the patience of Job because I had to. I had to. But I understand how hard it is to wait for events and the country to catch up to where Trump is now on solid ground if he moves forward and does this. Obviously, the big arrest have not happened yet. Now, thank you to all you trolls out there that let me know that every day when I post on Twitter. Here's how many arrests happened on Benghazi. Here's how many arrests happened on the Hunter Biden laptop. Here's how many arrests happened on the Anthony Weiner laptop. Here's how many arrests happened on the Covet line. Here's how many arrests happened on the 2020 stolen election. They have a checklist, you know. There's even a graphic somebody made, 00000 arrests, and they're starting to share that with me. Okay, thanks, guys. I appreciate that. Because I already know what's going to happen. The arrests are going to start happening. And these same people are going to start endlessly bitching about how the cases are being handled. Why'd you put this prosecutor in charge of this case against James Comey? Why is James Comey only charged with these 5 counts and not these? Not and why isn't this other 4 or 5 counts added onto that yet? And the narrative's going to be, oh, they're all setting them up to be found not guilty. Well, they're all setting them up to get away with it and just get a month or 2 in a club fed somewhere. Same thing, same shit they did with Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, they won't make it to trial. Oh, well, they made it to trial. Okay. She won't be convicted. Oh, she got convicted. Well, she get a slap on the wrist. Oh, she got 20 years. Well, they'll let her out on appeal. Yeah. That's where they're at right now. You know, she won't really do that 20 years. She's not gonna die in prison. Yeah, they'll do this on each individual case. Comey, Brennan, Clapper, Obama, whoever the fuck that is that's pretending to be Joe Biden, whoever that is that's pretending to be Hillary Clinton. None of this is going anywhere. It's a pose. Nothing's happening. Nothing's gonna happen. It's a pose. You can't rationally argue somebody with a psychological glitch. I don't have any illusions what's going to happen after we get this autism and vaccine stuff out of the way. I'm pretty sure Pam Bondi's going to get them. Trump's already hinting he's giving Pam Bondi the go order. Well, we're going to see some arrests before too long. I'm going to go from the guy that got Durham wrong, that was, saying there would be justice for Spygate, that it was laughable with the idea for the whole plan was to have secret special counsels or one big open special counsel in Durham, but secret special counsels and grand juries investigating members of Congress and collecting all their electronic data for overseers. At the end of all of that, the plan was to do nothing and let them all walk away. That's not what's going to happen. And even as the pieces begin moving into places and this weird shit keeps happening with burn bags, very carefully collected burn bags full of very carefully collected documents. Somehow, by some miracle were all set aside to be destroyed, and they're still here. They're still here. Isn't that amazing? That the FBI and or maybe wherever they found that those burn bags on the 2020 election that Trump and Tulsi Gabbard were talking about at that cabinet meeting about 2 months ago. Kind of amazing, you know. You think this shit would have been destroyed long ago, but it wasn't. Where Cash found it. Other people found it. I don't sit around all day listening to Steve Bannon. Who does? Don't get me wrong. Steve Bannon does some good things. I don't sit around all day listening to Laura Loomer. I don't sit around all day listening to Jack Posobiec. I don't sit around all day even listening to Benny Johnson or any of these other, social media influencers. Some of whom do a lot of good stuff. They do. But I don't get my understanding of where things are going on Spygate or any of these other things by listening to social media influencers whose grasp of all this shit is less than an inch deep because they turn themselves into clout chasing, brand building jacks of all trades who become instant experts on everything. I had to tell people some harsh things when it was clear the old Spygate scandal was coming back round the bend like I always knew it would. This is my space, okay? All these social media influencers out there who become instant experts on everything. You see, with the Dunning-Kruger effect, I think it's called, that thing where if you understand a subject and you watch how the media covers it and you see how many basic fucking facts they get wrong, but then you turn the page and you start reading a subject you know nothing about and you forget what you just saw. It's like if I'm an expert on Spygate and I read, the Daily Caller's take on the latest Spygate developments. And I can read to see they got this, and this wrong because the reporter doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. Then I turn the page. Oh, we're talking about the Israel-Gaza conflict. I completely forget what I just saw. And I start believing what the experts the reporter was quoting. I start believing this shit. See the problem? One of the hardest things to do in the era of the social media influencer is stay in your lane. Stay in your lane. And I close with this. I've been going almost 2 hours now. It's afternoon now. So as this stuff goes down, and you see Trump make this announcement on autism and what this means for the vaccine industry, especially the childhood vaccine schedule industry. And if this stuff comes out in the next couple of weeks about Spygate, you start seeing arrests happen. Remember, a lot of social media influencers you're following, their understanding of these subjects is about an inch deep. They're going to pretend to be experts. They're going to steal shit from each other and cobble it together and put it there on their own words and post the same shit all over social media and act like they know what they're talking about. I've seen this in the covered space. I know who the people are in the covered space, in the vaccine space, that know their shit. I know who they are. Tracy Beans is one of them. Del Bigtree, RFK Jr., Aaron Seary. I know who these people are. But where do most people get their news now? They get it from social media influencers. And when this shit starts going down, all these brand building, big house living, they live in mansions now, many of them, because they're making that much money. They're going to become instant experts. And they're going to have a lot of hot takes that they're going to use to try to get clicks and views. If it's vaccine related, if it's childhood schedule, if autism related, if you look around and you do a few minutes of research, it's not hard to find the accounts that know what they're talking about. But the problem is the social media influencers are everywhere and they're getting in the way. Hey, me, don't listen to her. Me, here's my hot take. Click on my post. Read my shit. Okay? Social media influencers. The jack of all trades, scourge of modern communications. Or it's the Russiagate stuff, you know. You got people like me, and again, Tracy Baines. You got people like Jeff Carlson, the Markets Right, Hans Markey. You've got people, Devin Nunes, Svetlana Lakova. You've got people who know their shit, who've been involved in this from the beginning. But what's going to happen when the arrests start happening and the stuff starts coming out? Social media influencers. Hey, look at me. Read my don't look at that guy's stuff. Read my stuff. Here's my hot take. Give me the view. Give me the click. Yeah, this is the problem. This has been going on for a while. That's why I push back on it, you know. So something's happening today at 4 p.m. 4 p.m. I don't think it's the Tylenol thing. I don't think it's going to be the Tylenol study from like 2 months ago. I don't think Trump would set that up. If there's something we already know about, I do not think Trump would set it up this way. But we'll see. So, my brother's probably going to live stream that. You should all follow my brother. He's on Rumble. There's a channel on Rumble. Dwayne Brothers Rumble channel. And yeah, hey, Dwayne, why don't you drop your channel link into the stream on Rumble? And he will very likely be covering whatever this announcement is. He'll be covering it 4 p.m. Eastern today. And we'll find out what it is. So, he's good. He streams more than I do. I'm doing like 6 hours a week. I think he does 7. He's doing his Thunderdome multiple times a week, and then he does these chill flights at night, which are awesome. So I'm gonna go ahead and sign off now. I want to thank all of you, all 2,400 of you that are watching me right now. We're in the golden age now. It's been locked, okay? It's up to us to keep it going, okay? Charlie played a big role in getting us here. So God bless Charlie. We're all gonna miss him. And whatever happens today, remember, we're all in this together. We're all moving into the light. We got to get as many people into the light as we can. I think we can do this. We can literally help people pull themselves out of the dark, turn around, and stop going further into the dark. Turn around and come back, come to the light. Maybe they've never been in the light. Come to the light. Maybe they were once in the light, but they went into the dark. Well, come back to the light. We can do that. And thank God, Jesus, that we are given the power as ambassadors for the light to do that. So God bless you all. And I will see you on Wednesday morning at 10 p.m.